Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Chef, for our New Year's resolution, I think we should drink more wine.
I think that's a great, I was trying to think about these resolutions. And that's the greatest one I've ever heard.
You know, everybody's doing dry January and exercising and, stupid stuff like that.
That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. My wife's doing it. And know what she did last night?
Was she crying?
She's at her breaking point already in 3 days. So she ordered a bunch of non-alcoholic sparkling rosé online.
Gross.
I didn't get that. Could you try?
So even my watch hates it. Anyway, maybe I don't know what it will be. But
That's such
I
a
started
sad
telling her about
existence.
those non-alcoholic bourbons. So her whole premise is to not drink in order to drink later, like in Portugal and stuff. And for her little New York trip, I'm like, that's counterintuitive.
We're going to do that.
You know what we're gonna do? We're gonna drink more in order to drink.
She's going to be out of drinking shape.
That's what I told her.
Well, this is Chef Chris. I'm Ed, the Somm here at Old North State. Every week we do virtual tastings and talk about wine and other stuff, obviously. And we hope that you can someday be here on Thursdays at 6 p.m. where we do 4 different wines every week. We cover 200 wines a year to better understand the landscape, the tapestry, if you will.
All right, so we've can't do 200 this year. We've got to do like 208.
Why?
So because if our resolution is to drink more wine this year,
Well,
we got to slip an extra bottle in here and there.
All right, we can do that. I'm not opposed to that whatsoever.
Well, yeah, thank you.
Because
if you're going to make a resolution, you need a plan to give it
Right.
success.
Give it a chance. Well,
We're setting us up to fail with this low bar, last year's low bar.
Well, considering the fact that, there's, 100,000 different wines, we're never going to catch up doing hundreds at a time.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's like,
We're going
we're gonna have to start
up
doing
our game.
Yeah.
Let's just quit sleeping and drink more wine.
I'm down.
Well, anyway, we do that tasting here in downtown Mount Airy. We do this virtual for those of you that can't be here. And if you want to do this sometime, just give us a call at the winery here in downtown Mount Airy, North Carolina. And you can pick up your tasting pack. And, Chef Chris prepares food, which we'll talk about later, to pair with your wines. And you can experience this video at the leisure, whether it's at 3 a.m. or next Sunday or whatever.
Well, since when no one's gonna sleep this year drinking wine, you can watch it anytime.
That's right. Well, we're going to have 2 big names to get things rolling. We'll start off in Italy, and Pico Maccario, one of my favorite Italian producers from the Asti region. And of course, when we think of Asti and Alba and that area up in the Longhe, that we often think of Barolo, and you would not be wrong. We think of Nebbiolo, you would not be wrong. But Barbera is also a really important grape. I guess it's a less complex grape, but boy, it's nonetheless delicious. And this is what I'm really excited about. Mom, by the way, Mom, I haven't showed you this. She sent me where we're staying in Barolo for 3 days. 3 days in Barolo.
You talk about not sleeping. I would not even take a nap.
Oh, it's gonna be on like Donkey Kong. But I will be drinking lots of Barbera, I guarantee, because that's what people drink. And drinking Barbera is good. So what do we get from Barbera? Well, this is a classic, a specialist in Barbera. You're going to get a more rounded, softer fruit. It's not quite as assertive as a Nebbiolo or a Sangiovese. Not quite as tart.
It still has the tart red fruit, but not the tart mouthfeel.
Yeah.
Not the puckerability.
There's a candied note here, Chef. There's certainly, obviously Barbera has a little darker color, but it's still classic Italian that, it's never black,
Sure.
You can see through it for the most part. There's a couple exception grapes, but most of the grapes that we're talking about, particularly northern Italy, they are, you can see through them, and absolutely beautiful for all kinds of food. you know, anywhere from, you know, your vegetables, your salads, your even white meats, veal, pork, chicken, into beef. So the incredibly versatile wines in northern Italy. And this is just a grape that I honestly don't think we talk about enough. It is a grape that meets everyone perfectly in the wallet. I mean, you'll never spend a lot of money for Barbera. We served the granddaddy of them all at New Year's Eve, the Vietti Barbera. That was a Barbera that was really exceptionally
Ridiculous.
priced. It drank more like a Barolo, but it was still less than $100 a bottle. So I mean
It was outrageously good.
yeah.
I mean, it was absurd how good it was.
Yeah, and for contrast, you know, a really good Barolo, if it was at the equal value of that is compared to Barbera, would be several $100s. So there's a lot of value here. Gosh, you know, like I said, you know what I just thought of? This would be great with meatloaf. I'm
It's
just like,
funny
like,
that we're having bacon wrapped sweet chili infused meatloaf.
bingo. Are you really?
Yeah, I made it today. Well, I ran it for lunch, and we're gonna do it for this because of the salty bacon, the sweetness of the chili on this. I mean, it's gonna pick up just perfectly. And you know, it's not too fatty. It's a lean beef.
Yeah.
I mean, and the fat from the bacon though is gonna be an accelerant for this. It's gonna be great.
Beautiful. Well,
That's
there
funny.
you go. Yeah, so come in and have lunch with us.
We didn't even talk about that.
Yeah. So what do you think? What are your impressions, Chef? You happy? This is in your wheel well?
Oh, I mean, not that I do impressions, but this is outstanding. I love the fruit on this. You know, very light finish. I'm not really getting tannins. It might change here in a minute, but I mean, I love the softness of it. It's
absolutely.
great. It's fantastic.
It still has a great viscosity to it. Almost
It's fantastic.
oily in weight. I could get down with that for breakfast.
That'd be a great experiment for tomorrow.
Yeah, some people have yogurt and berries. Why don't you just have this instead?
This and some bacon.
Yeah,
More bacon.
yeah, that would work.
Wine and bacon.
You know, who can afford eggs? Just buy bacon.
Right? The eggs are just going to get in the way.
Yeah,
If you can find them.
yeah. If you have eggs right now, you're sitting on top of the world.
The catbird seed.
You're egg rich, for sure. So, anyway, for those of you that don't know, we're having a little egg shortage in the good old U.S. of A.
Well, luckily we're not having one with our local farmers, but I got some good eggs
The
yesterday.
industrial stuff.
I got some good eggs at the store yesterday. Some of those little fake, organic, cage-free, all that good, happy
Yeah.
feeling eggs.
You know what?
But I was so happy to see them.
That's what I kind of picture them. Okay, like they're the cage. They're in a cage with the doors open, right? So they can come and go as they want. So technically they're not caged, but right outside of the cage is like a cat waiting to eat them or something, you know, like or a fox, and so they don't leave the cage.
It's actually funny. I talked to a guy who runs some big chicken houses. You're not far off. He's like they have two areas, meaning like they have these big row houses.
Yeah.
And they'll have like 8 giant row houses.
Yeah.
And like for the standard production, it's the normal what you would think about horrible. And it's like, and then we've got another line, like our high end line, exact same row houses, but they leave the door open.
Cage free.
And he's like, legit, we just leave the door open. They're not going anywhere.
Right.
Ain't nothing but danger out there. He said, like, chickens aren't that bright, but they're not stupid.
Right.
He's like, if we go out there, there's hawks,
Mhm.
there's foxes, there's dogs, there's cats, and so like they keep the doors open and they just like get closer together inside.
Right.
Like safety in numbers kind of thing. But and a few other people too. They'll have what they'll do is they'll have a fence
Mhm.
that is like what's the cross? The lattice fence.
Oh yeah.
So they'll put the chickens in a lattice fence that's not a cage.
Oh.
So they're in a lattice fenced area, not a cage.
So I need to look for lattice free eggs.
Well, the thing is, I guess the bottom line is you can put them anywhere you want. They're not going anywhere. I mean, they are not adventurous creatures by nature. They do not.
My dad had chickens and they kept disappearing.
Well, that wasn't on them.
Yeah, I mean, but exactly. I mean, it was like the owls.
Yeah,
the hawks.
they didn't disappear. Like chickens aren't explorers. They're not curious.
Yeah.
You know, basically the only reason they'll get outside of anything is like they see a worm over there.
Yeah.
They'll scratch it up. But I mean, they're gonna huddle. They're gonna hide. They are not gonna be like, what's over that ridge?
Yeah.
They know what's over that ridge.
Yeah.
Death.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
They have more predators than a
Yeah.
feeder,
Not to mention
a feeder
dogs,
fish.
cats, like anything. Yeah.
That's what I'm
Everything
saying,
wants
like
to eat the chicken.
like a feeder fish has more predators.
Has
fewer predators than a chicken.
The only friends they have are like
Snakes,
squirrels and rabbits.
And if they weren't vegetarians, they'd kill them.
Right. Yeah.
Snakes,
Oh,
they
Sure.
run off with them too. Their eggs but I mean, yeah.
Well,
You
Chef, are you like? I know you said that we have the meatloaf. You want to give the meatloaf out for this tasting, or do you want to do something
or
else?
am I?
Yeah. What's the verdict? Are we gonna do that?
We're
We're gonna roll that.
I actually did it, 2 reasons. Because I've got, a couple people wanted a family meal.
Okay.
Plus, I knew I needed something for the tasting. Plus, it would be a lunch.
Sure.
So it really checks a lot of boxes.
Right.
And it just so happens that, like I said, I don't know what the wines are.
Yeah.
But-
Yeah. We just.
So usually I always have 2 or 3 things that I plan on doing for the tasting before I even know the wines, because I have to have so much of everything.
Sure.
I can't wait till the last second.
Right.
So it's just Providence.
Yeah.
It worked out like this, and so that's great. But I've got some meatloaf family meals going out, plus the tasting, plus lunch, so it's great.
Very nice. Very nice. So, if you're thinking about just a daily drinker, but also sophisticated enough to have, I would feel very comfortable opening this at a nice meal with some close friends and enjoying it, as a fine wine as well, or maybe even like right after a really fine wine. Like sometimes everybody gets real giddy. They want to open some like $300 wine. This wouldn't
Your
be.
palate's already blown out.
This wouldn't be that far of a drop off to get into like your more prominent drinking.
I'm glad you and I have never done that.
Never. We usually do it backwards though. Oh, those poor Oregon wines.
They'll make more.
Well, there you go, kids. Barbera, what I would call 101. That is one delicious beverage. I can't remember. This is a twisty. It is.
Yeah, it felt like it.
Yeah. We're going to move on to Joseph Wagner Vino. Of course, he was he is the son of Chuck Wagner from Napa, and he started Mayomi, and he sold Mayomi for $315 million. Now, Chef, if you had $315 million, what would you do with it?
I would buy some new equipment for this video.
Beautiful little label there, and sorry if I didn't get in, zoom in close enough. Boop. That Maccario is just classy from cork to label to glass. So we're going to taste some of Joseph Wagner's latest and greatest. So instead of upgrading his, well, we don't know if he has videos, but if he did, he probably did upgrade it. But he also bought up as much land as he could, and that's where he came up with the name Quilt, because he has patches of land all over Napa. And with these patches of land, he's making delicious wines under the Quilt name. And what can I say? I mean, this is kind of like American winemaking royalty, and following through, not just coasting, aggressively doing great things. This is the 2020 Cab. We did this at the chef's table. We did this for a special for New Year's.
Yep,
and we were really pleased with the feedback we got on that. This is a real treat. It's an expensive wine in terms of everyday drinking for some people. I mean, other people would be okay with it. Usually when you get into that $50 range, it kind of slows people down a little bit.
It's hard. I think. Yeah. I mean, well, and not only that. I mean, it's just so good. I mean, it's kind of hard to whether you blink at 50 or not,
Yeah.
you know, it's Tuesday, standing over the kitchen washing dishes. You know,
Yeah.
like I'll have the quilt. You know, you
Yeah.
kind of want to frame it to where you're
Sure.
enjoying the
Yeah.
the effort
I totally agree, and this
more
is
so than the dollar amount. I guess.
yeah, this is certainly something that we could enjoy washing dishes on Tuesday, right, Chef?
Let's try it.
Yeah, this is a
Well, we
really
normally, since you and I are the dishwashers after every chef table, we normally are.
That's
We're-
true.
We're drinking these scraps and like cleaning the place. So
yeah. So you know, if for some reason the guests don't finish all the wines, Chef Chris and I clean it up for them.
it's hard for them to finish the wines when I hide them.
Yeah, good point. But this is a really luxurious cab. I don't think it's overblown. I don't think it's overdone. I think, a lot of times, I don't really do many pairings at the chef's table with Napa cabs because I feel like they overwhelm the food that chef's creating, and we don't want to spend all that effort on food and then just throw a bottle of ketchup on it. This wine is certainly more food friendly than most of the higher end Napa cabs that are released these days, I think.
I would blind call this a Zen. And not
It's got some beautiful spice, got some dark fruit.
and being a Wagner thing, it wouldn't be terribly surprising. But I mean, I just feel like the nose on this is just a monster.
Mm.
I mean, you smell it and you're like, oh boy,
Yeah,
this is gonna wreck me. And then
Yeah.
it's silky.
yeah, it is super silky.
And so that's such a nice treat when you
Mhm.
like, you're kind of hesitant on that first sip because the bouquet is just so intoxicating and huge, and then it's just like a little silk pillow when you
Yeah,
drink
yeah,
it.
and the tannins are so subtle, and
Very
they're
subtle.
the kind of they'll build slowly.
Yeah, they just kind of creep
It's
up.
not going to be a mouthful of tannins right out the gate, and that's what I really like about this wine in terms of.
Well,
Yeah,
that's
when
why
they build.
in cabs, that's not usually not the case for a cab.
Not
Normally, you're
usually,
getting
no.
the Napa cab, you're getting tannin first, flavor second.
Yeah,
And this is the opposite,
Yeah.
which is why it kind of, to me, it lends it drinks more like a Zen than a cab, and that's a compliment.
absolutely, and I think it's also, stunningly delicious outside of this great structural properties. So much fruit here. There is vanilla. I wouldn't say it's overblown vanilla. His dad can kind of get a little crazy with the vanilla at times, but that does settle in over time.
I mean, there's no denying it's there, but I think the fennel and the spice really kind of help
Yeah, there's
push
some,
it
there's
down,
some,
but it
yeah,
works. It's
yeah.
complementary rather than singular.
Yeah, there's a lot of anise in here. Probably some. To me, it's like some
Five
like really,
spice.
really old nutmeg. That's
Yeah,
not real
yeah.
intense. Kind of
Yeah, that
Like
nutmeg you bought for
It's in the
Thanksgiving
three.
to do a pumpkin cheesecake 4 years
Yeah.
ago, and
Yeah.
it's still in
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
Because you only needed a
It's technic-
teaspoon
it's-
of it a year
Right.
because it's nutmeg.
Mm.
Most worthless spice on the planet. I've gone to putting it a little bit, and I'll put it a little bit into the mac and cheese mix.
Yeah, it's
Just to get rid
made.
of it.
It's made for cream. There's no doubt about it. Yeah, I went to this little Indian joint last night, and they were using
Oh, nice.
cardamom.
No,
I
wow.
love cardamom. It was called curry noodles.
Well, I bet that was good.
It was over there where Chris Falk's old place was, over there in Robin Hood Village.
Oh yeah, I bet that was great.
Yeah, it was just nice, having some different spices.
Yeah.
But cardamon's another one of those
That's a
kind
biggie.
of, like,
It's a biggie.
where do you ever see it?
Well, and that cardamom too is very Scandinavian also, even though it's used a lot in the
India.
and
Yeah.
that thing. But cardamom is very Scandinavian. But they tend to use it more for like coffee and sweets, and
Right.
the Hindus use it more for like a main meat
Sure.
instead
Yeah.
of the plate stuff.
Yeah.
But, cardamom is a very underrated spice.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
You have to know what you're doing with it. You,
Oh,
you
yeah,
can't
get
just,
away!
you can't just throw it here and
I
there.
got a little basil here. Yeah.
You can get away with a lot of those herbs de Provence. You can put them all over the damn place, but not so much with cardamom.
But the thing is, I learned this from a Scandinavian. Actually, they like to roast the cardamom pods and grind them in a coffee grinder, and then pour them into container to use, but they don't wipe the coffee grinder out. Then they put their coffee and grind it, so that cardamom infuses into the beans and the tea, and they use that for their drinks, and it's really nice.
That sounds
Yeah.
good. Yeah. Well, I would imagine that anytime you can spice something up.
Yeah,
Yeah, I had a
especially
friend.
this time of year. You want that little extra something in your coffee or tea or bourbon.
Yeah, my avocado pants gave me a little. It's called a waffle cookie, I think is what it's
Oh
called.
yeah, those are
they're,
nice.
they're like super bland. Though.
Yeah. So
And
you have
you
to-
rub butter all
butter.
over them.
and they're still bland.
But yeah. So
And then-
like I want to do something with that. So I took some home to experiment with. This I want to do some like compound butters or something.
Yeah.
There needs
you
to
got
be
you got to
something.
bring it up.
You know, and I get it. I get the concept of it, but I just feel like it needs another layer.
So there's this chef, Nordic chef, who I follow, who I love. I adore his food. And he has a little waffle press.
Yeah.
But it's shaped like it's got a really uniform shape, and they do like a waffle cookie kind of thing, but
Yeah.
it's savory, and they use a shrimp puree in it.
Mm-hmm.
And they mix that in with the batter, and they do it in that, and then they put caviar on
Oh.
it. But it's this crisp, delicious
Dude.
waffle
Now that's what I'm talking
thing.
about.
But it's full of like
Yeah.
FORDE shrimp
Right.
with a big wallop of caviar on it. And that's one of their courses on their.
Where is
on their-
this?
It's in Copenhagen or somewhere
Yeah.
over there. But it's a restaurant Jordanaire.
Okay.
And I think my boy in England does it too. Adam Handling does something similar with that as well.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I just love that. I love that waffle thing, that savory waffle
Yeah.
thing. And I kind of stole, well, I didn't steal that idea, but like I remember back in late summer, I did that foie gras
That was
waffle.
insane.
So obviously they don't do that, but
Yeah.
I love the infused savory
Sure.
thing.
Yeah.
There was no sugar in it, so I did butter and melted foie gras in the batter, and then
Mm-hmm.
did the waffle with that, and that was with a fried oyster and caviar.
Yeah. Yeah,
That
that
was
was
ridiculous.
one of the great chef. Of course, this past New Year's, the menu was insane.
I
as
was
well.
happy with it.
Yeah. And
It was a
we had some of the greats at the table. It was like the
oh my
who's
god,
who
it was
of our little world of chef tables was there.
I was toying with the idea of doing like a greatest hits for New Year's.
No, you wouldn't do that.
Well, I said that's why I toyed with it.
You wouldn't.
But then I looked at the guest list and I was like,
Yeah.
there's no way I could do it because they've had like the combined. I mean, that table probably combined for not gonna drink itself now. That's a thinking. I think combined, everyone at that table probably count for 45 chefs tables.
Oh, more than that.
I mean, but it was an
The Smiths alone are 20.
20.
Chris and
Michelle in
20.
double digits,
Yeah.
easy. Perkins in double digits, close if they're not there. We had one two-top that had only been there once, or once before, but it was an embarrassment of riches. You know, we had beluga caviar, we had jumbo lump crab, foie gras, a lobster, wagyu,
That lobster was
sea
crazy.
bass. I mean, it
The
was
sea
just
bass,
on
yeah.
and on and on and on and
Yeah.
on. What fun.
Yeah. Those oysters.
Oh, good lord.
Scallops.
Scallops. And did them in the scallops in the
Yeah.
shell.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That was great.
that was stunning.
Well, Chef, we didn't talk about what we're going to pair with the quilt, did we?
Oh yeah, we're doing braised short rib.
Oh, sweet.
How about that?
Yeah. Count it. Boy,
Well, I mean, it's a
ribs-
no-brainer. I mean, you want to complement this wine, but you don't want to get away from it. And I think, to me, a classic, elegant wine needs a classic, elegant pairing.
Mhm.
And how you go wrong with red wine and stock braised beef with a classic.
I totally agree. And these two wines are so elegant. It's a really, I think if you like one, you're going to like them both, just because they do have a lot of similarities in texture and fruit flavors that are just really outstanding. They are, I mean, I'm not saying they taste the same, but I would say
They're
you could,
both fruit driven.
yeah, I would think that you could, if you like one, you're going to like the other. Yeah, this gives you your weekend wine and your daily wine. Great way to do things. Of course, we're coming in under $50 here, which we really like. And then, of course, coming in at the 20 mark here. So, two great options for you that are delicious, nutritious.
Very nutritious.
It'll help you keep rolling through dry January while
Well-
everybody else is dry. You can drink their wine.
Well, and also, everybody's, and I have to admit, I'm guilty too. I've been eating, well, I think I've been eating better for a while, but been doing a lot of, I've been replacing my morning bacon and mayonnaise sandwich with a smoothie
Oh,
every
yeah?
morning.
Is that good?
No, it's horrible. I would not recommend.
1 star.
Yeah, would not revisit.
Yeah.
But doing all these little things. But where was I going with that? I just started thinking about how much I miss bacon
I
and
think
mayonnaise.
somehow you're going to talk about the health benefits.
Oh, the health benefits of this. Yes, of course. Rich in antioxidants. Helps you with muscle retention, memory.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously, this kills a multitude of diseases with all the
It makes people more attractive
and funny.
and funnier.
I mean, and they say you'll live longer if you laugh more.
That's true.
And that wine is the key
Yeah.
to all of it.
It's an antiseptic. It kills germs.
Kills germs.
Mhm.
I mean, just don't pour it down the drain. You use bleach for that.
Yeah. This is
It's a human germ
to
killer.
sanitize, everything inside of you. Gosh, this is good.
And these go great with salads too, even though I'm not
They do.
serving that with
Particularly
this.
with a little fruit.
That's what I'm
some
saying.
nuts.
Like blueberries, some almonds.
Yeah.
Put a little bit of skirt steak,
Sure.
lean skirt steak with
Mhm. Yeah.
some legumes.
Yeah,
Be
that would be
delicious.
very nice. Very nice.
I made a lentil stew last
I
night
love lentils.
with mushrooms.
The only thing I don't like about lentils, they always explode on you.
They
Like,
do.
they're
Well-
like, you gotta cook them and then stop cooking them.
Well, here's what I did, because yes. So I did my caramelized onions, my peppers, celery, mushrooms, all the veggies. Added in some beef. I had some beef scraps. Cooked all that for like halfway through. Then added the lentils and the
Yeah.
tomatoes towards the end, and they
Yeah.
just bloom right up.
Yeah.
But if you add them
But then,
first,
I like
it turns
to
into
leave,
goulash at some point.
I like to leave my soup on
Yeah.
the stove for like 3 days. And
Whoops.
lentils don't like that. They don't like that at all. But anyway.
Cornbread likes that, but not lentils.
Well, I hope that you have a
Excuse me.
wonderful 2023. We appreciate all the support, all the great holiday wishes that we received over the last 2 weeks.
Was it not a great
It was,
season?
yeah, people are
From
really,
Thanksgiving, and I don't mean like just for like presents. I mean like
yeah, people's attitude.
Thanksgiving to New Year's. I'm not normally a holiday. It was a very festive, joyful time, and I felt it.
Last year I was more about, putting up lights and putting up trees,
Yeah.
and that was the festiveness for me
And
last
Gigi
year.
got a lot of lights. last
And
year.
the Jeep was covered up for sure. But this year I didn't do any of that, but I was still somewhat way more in the spirit
Yeah.
because of just the
people,
interactions.
yeah.
People that have even kind of have been rough around the edges have been very
Softer
soft
and,
and, like, I mean,
warm and.
not just the people you expect to be.
Right, but it's like it was a good
Yeah.
vibe this season. It was
Yeah.
great.
I hope that continues. I hope that continues for all of you. Stay healthy by drinking lots of wine because that's what keeps us healthy.
Cheers to a new year. May it be your best.
Hasta la vista, baby.